We have a tendency in the United States, and in particular in New Thought, we're so into ease and grace, we confuse it with convenience.
This is always one of my best Sundays, the one when we hand out the envelopes and I get a chance to watch people's eyes and see how they react, and then the other one we play Stump the Minister, because I've never been in any kind of church where a minister has enough courage, would be the proper word to say, just to stand up and answer any kind of question, so I applaud him. So I've got two questions. One, how do you balance the idea that we're responsible for our own individual selves with the idea that we should help other people and that kind of thing? And then, is there anything that Ernest Holmes has said that you don't agree with?
At least two things. There are at least two things that Ernest Holmes has said that I don't agree with. One of them is a big giant error in the metaphysical charts in the back of the book, as far as I'm concerned. If you want to know more about that, you should be an Inward Journey. That was a plug if you didn't catch it. Yes, there are a couple places where I don't actually agree with him. And so it's fun, right? Because we don't think of Ernest Holmes as some guru that we have to worship. And we do actually believe that there is a continuing unfoldment of the science of mind, and I'm constantly seeking my own understanding of it. And just because Ernest didn't say it doesn't mean that a new revelation isn't available. And just because Ernest did say it doesn't mean that it's absolutely, unalterably this truth, because we don't believe it is the direct, it is direct revelation, but it's not the inerrant word of God. And of course we have to remember that he was writing in the 1920s, 1930s, so he's his gender language, which annoys the hell out of me, right? And he really had a limited vocabulary because psychology was a nascent science, very new, right? And just because of the answer of this question, right? All this language about thought and mind, and today we would use the words consciousness, right? Every time that Ernest Holmes uses the term mind, if you were to translate it into your own mind into the word consciousness, that would update his material into our current expanded understanding, which I think is really important. So that's Ernest Holmes. Tell me again what the first question was. I've now gotten so excited about that, I forgot what it was.
the balancing of our own individual.
Oh, right. Ha-ha. It's always so challenging to draw an analogy. And so I would like for you not to hear this analogy as parental or pejorative. But if I truly understand that every person is a part of my family, I would treat them like my children, or my sister, or my mom. Now, when I put that into context, I get that my child needs support to be raised and to learn things, opportunities, and I also get that he has to learn how to be responsible for his own life, right? And that's the dance. And when I think about my family members, I think about my mother, my father. I both offered to help when things were challenging for them, and I also knew that they were responsible for their own lives. And I was responsible for my response to them. I was responsible for my, well, get it together. Could you just get your shit together? What do you need me for, really? Really, I mean, can you imagine saying that to somebody in your family? Yes, you can. And when do you say it? When they have abused the family relationship, don't you? And you actually know when that is, even if you are complicit. That's called enabling, right? Even when you are complicit. And yet we know when those boundaries have been crossed. It's not always easy to take the time to really pay attention. It's not always easy to take the time to decide how am I going to take responsibility for how I show up in this situation. That's part of spiritual maturity, right? We have a tendency in the United States, and in particular in New Thought, we're so into ease and grace, we confuse it with convenience. Could just let that land for a minute, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Being on a spiritually disciplined path that requires us to live both love and law is anything but convenient. It takes a fair amount of personal awareness and a willingness to look at things for what they are, and to dance the lines, and to truly make choices and decisions, right? So my son is a grown man right now. He's a young man. He's 26, so he's turning 26 in 2 weeks. And as all young men, you know, I kept praying for him to hit 25, so that the cerebral cortex would finish developing, and the executive functions would come online, right? And we've talked about it and teased about it, he and I, and so sure enough, that's actually happening. It's fabulous to watch. And so that's the dance, right? Sometimes he needs things, and you know, and when the going is tough, I don't help him. I don't. He's responsible for his own life. But when the going is impossible, you better believe it. He knows my hand is right there. Do you see? That's what we do for each other. And so to me, it's not a hard equation when we recognize that we are, you know that song, We're One Big Family, that we don't sing it just because it's a catchy tune. And we don't sing it because it makes us feel better. If we're truly all one in the individualized expressions of this one, if we're all part of the whole, we are all family. And so I am as responsible for my life as I am responsible for the way in which I interact with yours. And I can help you, grow you, I can hold your hand, I can lift you and give to you when you need it, and I can enable you. And my job is to take responsibility for what is needed when. Will it always be the right? I don't ever do anything always right, right? If we're dancing a line, we're going to fall off on one side, and we're going to fall off on the other, but we're constantly seeking to navigate that line. So thanks for the question, Michael.